What up, cooks? It's your boy the Hater up in this piece. I've had a very long day, I'm very tired, but I figured it's Hatermania, so we're here to make a video up in this motherfucker. Now, I read the SmackDown results and I pretty much watched like half the show because 1/4 of the show was the Rock and Roman Reigns segment. Now, I'll just say one quick thing before we get to the show, and that's this. I don't think, personally, that The Rock and Roman Reigns and this storyline with Cookie Rhodes and now for some reason Seth Rollins, like it was obviously supposed to be CM Punk in his stead, but it is what it is, right? We can't have what we want sometimes or what the people want, but the truth is that this is going way out of line, right? It's now gone from absurd to extremely stupid. Now, the writing is on the wall as to what's going to happen, and everything else around it is immaterial, right? Wrestling, the point of wrestling is to have things that are unexpected happen so that the story moves forward, right? I'll use a popular example that I use once in a while, and that is the mid-card match, the opening match, one of the best mid-card matches of all time, in my opinion. Christian versus Chris Jericho, with the whole Christian, Jericho, and Lita and Trish Stratus situation, right? Which eventually Lita was moved away from that, and basically Trish Stratus betrays Jericho and goes with Christian, right? This was great because there was like an entire build-up to this, right? Independent of everything else. And even though this was not a main event by any stretch of the imagination, it was one of the more memorable parts of that WrestleMania because it was so well done. Now, the opposite of that is happening as we speak. The real question here remains, is Roman Reigns going to continue his title reign or is he not, right? Now, if you were wrestling The Rock, the answer would have been given to us. Obviously, The Rock's not beating Roman at WrestleMania, but it would make for a compelling build-up and a compelling match because it's The Rock at the end of the day. Now, instead of this, things keep shifting left and right. The Rock has joined the bloodline, and now Cody Rhodes has issued a challenge to The Rock, which is incredibly stupid. Now, The Rock comes out and basically cuts a promo on Arizona, right? Talks down to them, your typical Rock stuff. Then he starts saying some real stupid shit, according to your boy. Number one, first of all, he tells Cody Rhodes, nah, it's not going to happen one-on-one with The Rock. You don't just get what you want, Cody. That's not how the world works, right? But instead, The Rock offers a tag team match for absolutely no reason, right? For absolutely no reason, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are involved in this match, right? Maybe to take the pin. Maybe so Rollins, after he loses the title too, or whatever, he can take the pin. Maybe that's when Damian Priest cashes in. Who cares, right? That doesn't matter because Seth Rollins is not a compelling wrestler or a compelling champion at this point of his career. So nobody cares about this. But for some reason, The Rock decides, let's make this a tag match, right? This is not explained at all, right? And there's really nothing they can do to explain it because how can you explain it, right? Cody Rhodes challenges The Rock. The Rock says it's going to be a 2-on-2. Why? Why is Seth Rollins all of a sudden involved in this, right? It's not like The Rock has anything against Seth Rollins, right? Seth Rollins is just a thorn on his side. But anyways, whatever, right? You want to do a tag match so that, you can have like 2 Cody Rhodes and 2 Roman Reigns matches at WrestleMania weekend. I'm all for it, whatever, who cares, right? But here's the problem, right? The stipulations that The Rock offers are as follows. If Cody wins, then what happens is Cody Rhodes will have a one-on-one match with Roman Reigns, right? They'll sign the contracts, they'll talk to the lawyers, it's going to go down like that, right? Alternatively, if Cody and Seth lose, then it's a bloodline rules match or some other garbage, right? And basically the match is the bloodline can do whatever they want, which they could already do that, right? They could already do that if they wanted to, right? Either way, this is good for Cody Rhodes, obviously, right? On one hand, he can beat Roman clean, and on the other hand, which is much more preferable, he can beat Roman dirty. Meaning, like Cody's going to wrestle clean, but he can beat Roman despite Roman cheating in a variety of ways, right? They're building up to some sort of like us against them mentality. Like Seth Rollins is like, no, it should be us against them, Forget about Drew McIntyre. All this stuff needs to be us against the bloodline because the bloodline is basically too dominant. Now, here's the problem with this. At some point, Roman Reigns, for no reason whatsoever, asks The Rock to acknowledge him. The Rock acknowledges him. Now, here's the thing, right? None of this makes any sense. Now, the payoff is going to obviously be, at this point, the smart money is that The Rock is going to betray Roman Reigns and cost him the match, right? That's what's probably going to happen at this point, because that's how they're building it up. Otherwise, there was no point in having the moment where Roman Reigns says, acknowledge me, even though The Rock has joined the bloodline and has been raising the finger for like 2 weeks now, right? The whole point here is that The Rock can betray Roman Reigns and say, no, you stepped out of line. Like, nobody tells The Rock to acknowledge him, right? But that's already been implied, because when The Rock first came out, after Cody Rhodes introduced him, the entire point was that The Rock is going to wrestle Roman Reigns to determine who the tribal chief is, right? But all of a sudden now, in kayfabe, we're supposed to believe that The Rock has just accepted that Roman Reigns is his superior, right? Because that's what the whole thing is about, right? So it's like, now I have no interest in seeing Roman Reigns versus The Rock, because the whole point is The Rock needs to be defiant and be the face, and Roman is the heel, right? And the winner, quote unquote, is the leader of the bloodline. In other words, the winner is the best Samoan wrestler to ever do it, right? And that was the whole point. Roman Reigns beats The Rock, and he remains the tribal chief. But now, The Rock is going to betray him, right? The Rock is going to betray the bloodline. So that's a little bit weird. That's what I think is going to happen. If that does not happen, then it's even dumber, right? Because all we've seen now is The Rock is just here, and he has an issue with Cody Rhodes. That's what this whole thing amounts to, right? He's, for some reason, upset that Cody Rhodes wants to be champion. Like, of course Cody Rhodes wants to be champion. Everyone wants to be champion, right? Cody Rhodes didn't steal The Rock's spot fundamentally, right? So why is The Rock upset? Now, I can tell you why I'm upset and why the real fans are upset, because we don't like Cody Rhodes. But The Rock, as a character, he has no reason to have anything against Cody Rhodes. As a matter of fact, they hugged, they kissed, they blew each other, they did all these things. So what's the point? Why? Because Cody Rhodes said that, like, Alpha and Sika, two nobodies, would be ashamed of, like, Roman Reigns? Like, that's what turned The Rock? None of that makes any sense, right? Nor does it make sense that The Rock is so preoccupied, right, with Cody Rhodes, quote-unquote, stealing his spot, that he wants to do a tag match. No, the logic is, you stole my spot. How about instead The Rock says, I challenge you, right, to a match on night one. The winner wrestles Roman Reigns. That seems to make the most sense, because the character of Cody Rhodes is built as such that he's not going to say no to that, right? Cody Rhodes is going to defend his opportunity to wrestle Roman Reigns, because that's what Cody Rhodes does, right? And it would be a feather in his cap to beat The Rock. Now, with all that being said, does anyone give a crap whether or not Cody and Seth beat the bloodline? None of that matters. It's not going to have any indication on what's going to happen the next night, which is the only match in this WrestleMania that actually has any kind of consequences. Not because Cody might win, but because Roman might lose. So, what's The Rock going to do? Who cares, right? Who cares? At this point, he's booked himself. He's played himself, right? He's put himself in a corner where either The Rock is going to betray his family, which is not a good look, right? Or he's in a spot where he's going to betray or continue to destroy Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns wins, which is also not a good look, because it's exactly what happened last year, and now you don't need The Rock for this, right? The entire point of The Rock wrestling Roman Reigns, aside from the fact that it's like a significant match, is that we're not seeing the same main event again, the same boring main event again. Now, boring might be a stretch, I'm going to be honest, right? I enjoyed last year's main event, and I thought that Cody Rhodes could have benefited significantly from 1 year of solid booking, but that didn't happen, right? So it's like, now I'm hoping that he loses and then eventually he gets the good booking that he needs, in my opinion, to be actually over, right? People are over because he keeps getting screwed, right? He's over the same way that Hornswoggle would be over when Great Khali would, like, punt him in the head or something, right? That's what's happening here, right? There's no actual, long-term overness to be desired for, right? If Cody Rhodes wins, which he likely will at this point, we're just going to have two Seth Rollinses. We're going to have Seth Rollins, we're going to have Cody Rhodes, one on each show. Great, what's the difference? Nobody cares, right? So with that being said, I thought that this entire promo and the logic behind it was broken. It was wooden logic. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants The Rock in a tag team match. People want The Rock in a one-on-one match. Go one-on-one with the great one. I'll make your monkey ass famous. That's what we want, right? We want the real main event. Instead, we're getting an irrelevant tag team match and the same main event from last year. This is how bad they've dropped it. They've dropped the ball. They fumbled the bag, as the kids say. Now, for all intents and purposes, it is what it is. What can we do, right? We can make the most out of this, and this is their attempt to make the most out of it. But it's a bullshit attempt because nobody wants this. First of all, the fact that Seth Rollins has squirmed his way into this feud makes no sense. He has no reason to be there aside from the fact that he was there. He was just there because he's the champion, right? And Cody Rhodes didn't choose him. So all of a sudden, he's part of the whole thing now. Cody Rhodes does his thing, and then the World Heavyweight Champion is like his underling, more or less, right? That's how it feels. So that being said, nothing good's going to come out of this. And if something good does come out of it, I'll be very surprised. Pleasantly so, but I'll be very surprised. The uneventful Seth Rollins title reign, the uneventful Cody Rhodes trying to finish his story for a year, and that's something that bothers me. People are like, oh, he's been booked for a year to finish his story. No, he hasn't. He was tag teaming with Jey Uso and wrestling Dominic Mysterio. He was not booked to finish his story. He was booked like every other wrestler. You know what I mean? And with that being said, this takes away from his credibility, right? If he's having trouble beating Dominic Mysterio, right? This is Roman Reigns, dog. You know what I mean? So that being said, it doesn't feel right, and The Rock just pretty much like is not adding anything at this point. Like, at this point, he should have just never come back. This would have been better if he didn't come back and just came back next year and was like, all right, it's next year. Now I want to fight Roman Reigns. Fine. You know? Even if it's not for the title, it's a big deal. You know, it would be a match to look forward to. Kind of like Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker the first time, right? Where it's like, all right, this isn't, you know, the main event. There's nothing on the line in this first match, but it's Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, so you want to see which one's better, right? At this point in their careers. That being said, Cucks, take care of yourselves.